Good morning or good afternoon. Today we're going to go ahead and get started with calculator skills number 5 in regards to our STAAR-aligned calculator skills. So once again, the way we handle these skills are number 1, I try to do number 1. Question number 2 is identical. Then you can practice. You can always pause the video. Question number 3 and then question number 4 is identical. Question number 5 and question number 6 is identical. So once again, let's go ahead and get started. So we'll start off with number 1. Given this quadratic, you're going to have a value of negative x squared plus 8x minus 15. Find the vertex. Figure out if it has a minimum or maximum. Find the axis of symmetry. Find the zeros and find the y-intercept. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and input this quadratic into Desmos, and again, let Desmos do the work. So we're going to put negative x squared, positive 8x, minus 15. So as you can see, we are going to have our first quadratic that does have a maximum value. The reason it has a maximum is because the vertex is right above at the very top of your parabola. So once again, our vertex is 4, 1. And is this a maximum or a minimum? It is our maximum. So this is our first maximum that we're going to deal with. Next, the question of axis of symmetry. I'm going to circle my x because it's going to be an x value. It is going to be the x value of the vertex. The x value right here is 4. So the x value is 4. Why? Because it cuts our parabola in half. Next, we are going to find the zeros. So those are the x-intercepts. There they are. 3, 0 and 5, 0. So I'm going to write 3, 0 and 5, 0. And once again, I can label the zeros as 3, 5. Both of them are zeros. My x-intercept is 3, 0 and 5, 0. Then I'm going to find my y-intercept. Where does this parabola cross the y-axis? So I'm going to click on it, and it crosses at 0, negative 15. Of course, it's an ordered pair. So once again, it is a very simple process if you let Desmos do the work. So let's go ahead and look at number 2. If you want to try it yourself, go ahead and try it. Try inputting it. If you do not want to try it and want to see it a little bit guided, then I'll go ahead and guide it. And then after that, you can try it again and go back on the video also. So the parabola, the quadratic we have is going to be right here, x squared. So I'm going to go ahead and input x squared minus 8x, positive 15. As you can see, we have our parabola that's right there. So sometimes I have to enlarge it and decrease it. So I'm going to find my vertex. It is at the bottom. So my vertex is 4, negative 1. Is this a minimum or a maximum? It is a minimum because it is at the very bottom of the parabola. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my axis of symmetry. Remember, the axis of symmetry is the x value. I circle axis as the x equals 2. Axis of symmetry is my x value of my vertex, which is 4. So that is my axis of symmetry. Now I'm going to take away my vertex and I'm going to find my x-intercepts. So my x-intercepts, I do have 2. I have 5, 0 and 3, 0. So those are my 2 zeros, 5, 0 and 3, 0. And those are my x-intercepts, so I can also say my zeros are 5 and 3. If I want to find my y-intercept, all I have to do is find out where this parabola crosses the y-axis, and the y-axis is 0, 15. So once again, 0, 15, and that is my y-intercept. So once again, it's just a matter of working with Desmos and going ahead and putting it into the calculator. If we go to number 3, and this is going to be a very interesting one because I'm going to try to graph this linear equation. It is 5x minus 8y equals 40. So I'm going to go ahead and input it into my Texas addition calculator. It's going to be 5x minus 8y equals 40. Now, we do have something that goes on here. We cannot graph it. And then I'm going to look at this little sign, and it says plotting implicit equations and inequalities is disabled. So one of the things that we have to understand that when we deal with the Desmos calculator, we cannot put them in implicit form like this. We got to put it in y equals mx plus x form. So what is our y equals mx plus x? So I'm going to put it in orange. The y equals mx plus b. And remember that our m is a slope, b is your y-intercept. Remember that Desmos does not like any other form other than y equals mx plus b. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to convert this equation into y equals mx plus b, and then Desmos will like it. Remember, Desmos likes only y equals mx plus b. So we got to transition the 5x minus 8y equals 40 into a y equals mx plus b. If you look at number 4 is also very similar because we cannot do that if we would try to input it. Desmos does not like it, so I'm going to go ahead and take it away. And I'm going to go ahead and transition both of them to y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to show you how to do it the easy way. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my whiteboard. And I'm going to go ahead and look at this equation. We have the equation of 5x minus 8y equals 40. So the way we're going to transition this is we're going to circle the negative 8y because remember that we want it in y equals mx plus b. First of all, we need to isolate the negative 8y. I'm going to draw my railroad tracks and I'm going to get rid of positive 5x. How do I get rid of positive 5x from the left side? I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5x. But once again, if I subtract 5x to that side, I got to subtract 5x to that side. So I'm going to draw my line so I can separate my work. And then after that, a positive 5x and a negative 5x give you a 0. That leaves me 8y on this side by itself equals, I'm going to bring down my railroad tracks. And then, of course, I have a 40 and a negative 5x. Remember, I have ducks and chickens. I cannot combine ducks and chickens. So remember, I want it in y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to put it as negative 5x. Positive 40. But once again, I do not have it in y equals mx plus b because I still have a pesky negative 8 that I need to get rid of. So remember that this is negative 8 times y. And if you see that an imaginary multiplication is there, I need to get rid of that negative 8. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. But if I divide this side by negative 8, I'm going to divide this side by negative 8. And I'm also going to divide this side by negative 8 because they're different terms. So what I'm going to do is negative 8 divided by negative 8 is just 1 by itself, which is 1y that cancels out. So then y equals to negative 5/8 x. And then I have a positive 40 over negative 8. And again, I don't even have to simplify it. I almost forgot my negative because it's a double negative, a negative 5 and a negative 8. So once again, I don't have to simplify it because Desmos does the work for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to input this equation because it is in y equals mx plus b already. If you see that, that is y equals mx plus b. So all I'm going to do is come to my Desmos and I'm going to go ahead and input. So I'm going to input y equals to negative 5 divided by negative 8. And then I'm going to, of course, do my space. So I'm going to push this arrow right here. And then I'm going to put my x. And then I'm going to put my positive. And then I'm going to go 40 divided by negative 8. So I'm going to check my equation to make sure it's correct. Y equals to negative 5 divided by negative 8 with an x to the side. And once again, how do I find my x? What I do is I just hover over this and I push this arrow, or I can go ahead and just click right here on the space. So once again, I'm going to plot this and it graphs it automatically. It should be in purple. So I'm going to look for my line because sometimes I need to look for my line. And there I go. I have my x-intercept. If you look at my x-intercept, the x-intercept is 8, 0. That is also my 0. My y-intercept is 0, -5. So I have my x-intercept as being 8, 0. I have my y-intercept being 0, -5. I have my rate of change. That's here. If you look at that, it is -5 divided by -8. That is my rate of change. Remember that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. I can also say 5/8 is my rate of change. So once again, I already figured out everything to this equation. So once again, I'll come back to it and I will go ahead and input it. So I'm going to make space for number 2. I have another implicit equation. The 6x minus 4y equals 20. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you step by step on how to solve it. So I'm going to circle the 4y. I'm going to draw my railroad tracks, and I want to get negative 4y by himself. So this is a positive 6x. How do I get rid of positive 6x? I want to get rid of it. Minus 6x, but if I do negative 6x to this side, I have to do negative 6x to this side. I like drawing my line. A positive and a negative 6x gives me 0. That leaves me a negative 4y equals to a negative 6x and a positive 20. And then once again, I got to understand that I got to get rid of this negative 4. And don't forget, there's a multiplication right there. See the multiplication? So it's negative 4 times y. How do I get rid of multiplication? I divide both sides by the number next to the letter, which is negative 4. I'm going to divide by negative 4. And I'm going to divide by negative 4. That goes away. Y equals to negative 6x divided by negative 4. And then this is going to be positive 20 divided by negative 4. And that is my y equals mx plus b. So once again, I can input this in Desmos and let Desmos do the work. I don't even have to simplify my rate of change. If I want to simplify my rate of change, I can, but I don't have to. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to put negative 6. And this time, I'm just going to write it as negative 6 like that. And then I'm going to divide it by negative 4. And then I'm going to put my space here. And I can already start seeing my quadratic, or not my quadratic, but my two linear equations, my two systems that are starting to form. And I already know my point of intersection because that is one of our questions that we have. 20, a positive 20 divided by negative 4. And that gives me pretty much our linear equation in black. And I have mine in purple. So again, I have my two linear equations. And I'm going to go ahead and answer my question. So now that I've done the implicit equation and I've transformed it into the y equals mx plus b, now I can answer all my questions through my calculator skills. So if I look at that, I already have it in y equals mx plus b. So on number 3, I'm going to go ahead and find my rate of change. My rate of change right here is next to the x. So my rate of change is negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 8. I can also put as 5 divided by 8 because remember a negative and a negative is a positive. So my rate of change is 5/8. My 0, and I just want to look at the first one. So I'm going to unclick the second one right here on Desmos. I'm going to unclick the second one and I'm just going to concentrate on my first one. My first one, the x-intercept or my 0 is 8, 0. And my 0 is 8. If I look at my y-intercept, this is my y-intercept. It is 0, negative 5. And then, of course, my y-intercept is, of course, 0, negative 5. I cannot answer the next question because I have to grab both number 3 and number 4 because we're going to find the point of intersection, which is solving the system of linear equations. So if we go to question number 4, question is number 4. I'm going to click on my Desmos. I'm going to go ahead and click on question number 4. And again, they're asking for the rate of change. My rate of change is negative 6 over negative 4. If I want to, I can also write it as negative 3 over negative 2. I can also write it at positive 3 over positive 2. And I can also write it as 1.5. All those work. It just depends what they ask you on the test for the rate of change, which is also called our slope. So we have our rate of change, we have our slope. Now we're going to find our zero. So our zero is where it crosses the x-axis. We have a decimal at the zero. So it is 3.333 with a repeating decimal, 0. And then, of course, our 0, we know it's 3.3333. Or 3 1/3, if you want to go ahead and put the fraction value. The y-intercept, I already got my x-intercept or my 0. Then I find my y-intercept, and my y-intercept is 0, comma, negative 5. Now, in order to answer the last question on number 3, they're asking, given 3 and 4, find the point of intersection. So I have both points on the linear graph. I'm going to go ahead and activate this first one. And all I'm going to do is find out where they meet. They meet in exactly one point. And again, it should stick. So it is 0, comma, negative 5 as my point of intersection. I have my black line and I have my purple line. And the point of intersection is 0, comma, negative 5. Interesting that in the first equation, our y-intercept is also at that point of intersection. But sometimes we got to be very careful because we got to make sure that it is that. So you want to zoom in, and it is, of course. But again, that is how you solve the system of linear equations. Okay, very good. So we learned how to do the system of linear equations. We learned how to graph linear equations. We learned how to transition into y equals mx plus b. Now let's go on to the next ones. The next one should be easy. We have the hours and we have pretty much the grades. So one depends on another. We have our hours as being your x and your grades being the y, of course, the domain and the range. You see the hours and they're all over the place. The grades are all over the place. So what we want to do, we cannot figure out whether it's a strong negative or a weak negative unless we graph it. So once again, looking at this one, I'm going to go ahead and put it in orange. I'm going to first of all regraph this equation, and I'm going to go ahead and put a new column here. My first one is my H, and then my second one is my G. And remember, G is grades, and H is hours. So I'm going to go ahead and order my hours right here. So I'm going to put 10 first. Then after 10, I'm going to order it 12. And then I'm going to order it 15. Then after 15, I'm going to see what else. Okay, I'm going to put 18. And then after 18, what am I going to put? Let's see, what's the next one after 18? After that, it goes 21 and 24. And then I'm going to not order my grades because I already ordered my hours. So I just got to find out which ones match. I have 10 hours. My grade is a 96. And then I have 12 hours. My grade is a 93. And then, of course, I have 15 hours. My grade is an 88. And I have 18 hours, and my grade is an 80. Then I have 21 hours. My grade is a 68. Then it drops all the way down to a 60. So as I can see my grades right here, they are going down. So this is called a negative. So once again, they are going down. So they are positives. They are not positive. So I can already scratch those out because they're going down as my hours increase. My grades are going down. I don't know what I'm doing, but they're going down. So once again, it is a negative and a negative, so that gives me a 50-50 chance to get it right. Now I got to determine whether it's a weak or a strong negative. So looking at the numbers, 96, 93, 88, 80, 68, 60, that is considered a strong negative. The answer choice is A. Now, what would it be considered a weak negative? Well, if it went down 96, then it went down 95, then it went down 94, and then it went down 93.333, 92.8. So it was just going down very, very wimpy. But this is very, very strong. It's going from 96 to 93. That's strong. 88 is strong. 80 is strong. 68 is real strong. And then 60 is strong. So once again, that's how you do it. So again, there's not any need to input in decimals. So all you have to do is order the table. Once again, in the 2025 STAAR test, they gave the table in order. In the 2024 STAAR test, they gave the table out of whack, so you got to determine how to do the table. So go ahead and do the next one. Take a look at that one. Try to figure it out by yourself. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it. We also have two comparisons. We have our hours and we have our grades. So let me go ahead and work it. So again, I'm going to construct my table, and my table is H and G of the hours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to order my hours. So the first hour is 10. Then my next hour is 15. Then my next hour is 20. Then my next hour is there 25? Yes. Is there, what's the next number? 30, then of course 35. And then I'm going to get my grades. My grades, I'm going to go ahead and match them up. My 10 goes with my 20 as a grade. Then my 15 goes with the 28. Then I go to 20, goes with the 36, so they are increasing. Then after that, 25 goes to a 45. And then after that, a 30 matches up with a 60. And then of course, our last one will be 35, which matches up to a 75. So I'm going to look at the grades, and I'm going to circle them right here. Of course, they are going up from 20, 28, 36, 45. So it is a positive. So the negatives, we can cross them each other out. So now we need to determine, is this a weak positive or a strong positive? You look at the grades, and they are going up strongly. Even right here from 25 to 30, and of course from 30 to 35, pretty strong. So this is considered a strong positive, not a weak one, because if we would have a weak one, it would go up 21, 22, 22.5, 23. Very wimpy. But these are strong. So of course, it is a strong positive, which is letter D. Let's go on to our second page, number 7, our linear equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at that equation. It's already in y equals mx plus b, so automatically I can get the rate of change, which is our slope. And our rate of change slope is negative 3/5, because it's a letter next to the variable, next to the x. So again, that is our slope. Now, in order for me to get my zeros, I'm going to go ahead and plot them. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and put negative 3, and I'm going to skip the y equals, because I don't have to put y equals. So it's going to be negative 3 divided by 5, and then I'm going to do the space right here, and then I'm going to do the x minus 5, and there is my linear equation. So automatically, just by looking at this, I can go ahead and find my zeros, and I can go ahead and find my intercepts. So if I look at this, I'm going to look at my graph and try to position myself. There's my x, there's my y, and then my y-axis, which is my y-intercept right there, is easy, 0, negative 5. So that is my y-intercept. Now I want to find my x-intercept. I come to my x-axis, and I find out where it crosses the x-axis, and it crosses it at negative 8.333. So the 0 is negative 8.333, 0. So that is my x-intercept, or my 0, and of course my y-intercept is there. Given number 8, you can go ahead and try that one on your own. If you want to pause the video and then check your work, you can go ahead and check your work. So then I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm going to go ahead and input this equation. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 divided by 5. And then I'm going to push this, I'm going to click it right here, and then I'm going to put x. And then I'm going to put positive 6. There's my equation. I don't need the equation to find my rate of change. It's already in y equals mx plus b. So my rate of change is 2/5. And then, of course, my 0, it's where it crosses my x-axis. It crosses my x-axis at negative 15, 0. And then, of course, my 0 is negative 15 if I want to just put a number. If I go to my y-axis, where does it cross the y-axis? 0, 6. So my y-intercept is 0, 6. So that right there is my y-intercept, my x-intercept, or my 0, and of course my rate of change, which is also called slope. If we go to problem number 9, we have a quadratic. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it in decimals. Don't worry about this g of x. Don't worry about it. If you want to put y, if it makes you feel better, you can put a y. If you don't want to put anything and you want to put 0, then that's fine. Just don't make sure that you don't change it around. So first of all, the first step is to graph our quadratic. So I'm going to go ahead and input 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. I'm going to go ahead and put it in decimals. I have 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. There gives my U shape. All I have to do is find it. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to find my vertex. And of course, my vertex is that one. It's a lot of decimals. So again, I'm going to go ahead and put my vertex, and it's 0.333. That's a 3, sorry, comma, negative 5.333. Is that a minimum or is it a maximum? So is my vertex a minimum or maximum? It is a minimum. My axis of symmetry, I'm going to go ahead and get a green color. I'm going to circle my x. My axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex, which is 0.333333333 with a repeating 3. If I want to find my 0, where does it cross my x-axis? So all I have to do is go up on the graph. I can find my 0 being 1.667, and then I can find my other 0 as being negative 1, 0. So I have negative 1, 0, and the other one is 1.66666 all the way 7, 0. So those are my x-intercepts, or they're called zeros. Then after that, I want to find my y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? Up there. It doesn't cross anywhere. It just keeps on expanding, expanding. If I go back down, I'm going to go look at my y-axis. And my y-axis, once again, is 0, negative 5. So that is my y-intercept. Those are my zeros, and that's my x-intercept. So once again, if you want to try number 10, you go ahead and try number 10. Find out what the vertex is, find out what the axis of symmetry is, the 0 and the y-intercept. So let me go ahead and do it for you. Once again, the h of x, they just put it there. It's a function. We don't want to really worry about it. If you want to feel better, then you can put y. If you don't want to do anything with it, then don't do anything with it. Just don't put the plus sign and don't put f of x. That's all. So I'm going to go ahead and input this function, 3 open parentheses, x plus 3. And the only way that you will not get the correct answer is if you don't input it correctly into decimals. Everything else will be easy as long as you know how to read decimals and you know how to do the work. So there it is, my purple graph. I'm going to go all the way because the first question at hand is, what is our vertex? And sometimes they look very, very close, but if you enlarge it, you can see what the vertex is. The vertex is 0.5, a lot of decimals here. So we have 0.5, comma, negative 36.75, close parentheses. So I have a minimum here because it is at the bottom of the parabola. Now I'm going to find my axis of symmetry. I'm going to circle my x, and I'm going to say x equals to the x value of the vertex. The x value to the vertex is 0.5. That is my x value of the vertex. And then of course my zeros are my x-intercepts, but again I don't have to go back. I can find my y-intercept first. My y-intercept, if I take away my vertex, it is 0, negative 36. So I already found my y-intercept, so I won't have to go back down and then come back up and then go back down. So now I'm going to find out where this parabola crosses my x-axis. So it should cross at 2 points. One that's right there, 4, 0, and the other one that is negative 3, 0. So those are my zeros, negative 3, 0. and 4 comma 0, or I can write my zeros as being -3 and 4. So those are my zeros, and that is my given quadratic. If I go to number 11, given the exponential function, I'm given a table, and I'm given a table. And again, if you look at the x and you look at the g of x, just pretend it's a y. That's all you have to do. So first step, how do I do this on decimals? So I already got done with this. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And then I'm going to put a plus sign. I'm going to find the table. And all I'm going to do is input the table. So I'm going to put 1, comma 3, 2, comma 9, 3, comma 27, and 4, comma 81. I'm going to go ahead and push this leaf right here, add regression, but once again, we got to look at this wording before. This is a linear regression, and you see the points, they are not aligned to the line. Why are they not aligned? Because it's given is exponential function. This is a linear function, so I just got to go right here to this drop down, and I got to change it to exponential regression. And there you go. Gives us our points right here. It's giving us a point there. You can't really click on it, but again, you'll see the points there. You see a lot of good points there that you can plot. But the really one that I'm concerned about is my y-intercept. That is where it crosses the y-axis. It is 0, comma 1. And my function is right here under equation y equals to 1 times 3 raised to the x. And how can I know that this is an exponential function? Because it raises to the very small x. Another way you can write your function is, of course, our g of x. Remember our fancy word, and it is 1 times 3 raised to the x. You can write it as y equals 1.3 raised to the x, or you can write it as g of x being 1 times 3 to the x. So that is number 11. If we look at number 12, you can go ahead and pause the video and see if you get the right answer. If you don't get the right answer, or if you get the right answer, then you should understand it. So once again, let's go ahead and input it in table form. I got to get rid of this table, and I'm going to put the plus sign, and I'm going to go to table. And then I'm going to go ahead and input my values. 1, 2, and remember h of x is just a fancy word of saying y, or a fancy, not even a word, a fancy function. 1, comma 2, 2, comma 4, 3, comma 8, and 4, comma 16. There's my x values. Those are my y values. I'm going to go ahead and add regression. Don't forget it's an exponential, so it is always defaults to linear. You see how the dots are not falling in line. All I have to do is go over here and click to our exponential regression. Now I have all my lines in order. So the only one that I'm concerned about is the 0, comma 1. That is my y-intercept. And then, of course, my function is y equals to 1 times 2 raised to the x. How do I know it's exponential? It's got the tiny little x. And another way of writing this is h of x is equal to 1, 2 to raised to the x. Both are correct. So that is exponential functions without even covering exponential functions, and I'm able to handle exponential functions. So once again, if you have any questions in regards to exponential functions, you got to make sure you change it to exponential functions. Let's go ahead and go over our last two problems. Given that y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 4, 1, you're going to graph it. Number 2, you're going to tell me whether it's a solid line or a dashed line. And number 3, you're going to give me a solution set for this equation. So first step, I'm going to try to graph it, and I might want to try to graph it, and it's y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 4. And it gives me this again. Why? Because it says plotting inequalities is disabled on our Texas version and other state versions. Depending on your state test, it might be disabled because the STAAR test is about testing the students whether they know how to find the line to find out whether it's solid. They just can't give it to you. They just can't give the solution set. Now, the only time they will graph if you're in Texas, and it will graph if you didn't download the correct calculator on Desmos. So once again, how do we determine, number 2 is the easiest question. How do we determine one, if it's a solid or a dash? Very simple. All you do is look at the inequality sign. If it is a line underneath it, so that means greater than or equal, then it's including. So it would be a solid. So if you see the line underneath, it's solid. If you don't see the line underneath, it's dashed. So once again, an easy way to do this, all you have to do is transition it. Instead of putting this greater than or equal to sign, all you have to do is put an equal there. And it doesn't matter what you have. All you have to do is plot it with an equal. So instead of on Desmos, I'm going to go to, it's already in y equals mx plus b, so I don't have to solve it. So I come back and I take away my sign and I just put equals. And there it is. It gives me my linear equation. So y equals 2, and I'm going to go ahead and find my x-intercept. My x-intercept is 1.33. Those are the easiest ones to plot. So I'm going to go ahead and with blue, I'm going to put about 1.333, comma 0. And then I'm going to find my y-intercept. My y-intercept is another easy one to plot. I can put it right here. And it's 0, comma negative 4. And once again, I have my 2 points right here, one right here, one right here. So I'm going to do it in orange. And then I'm going to go, or let me do it in green. Let me do it in a different color. Let me do it in black. So right there, remember that it's a solid line. Just by 2 points, and those are the easiest points usually to work with, are my x-intercepts and my y-intercepts, because I can plot those, and now I complied with number 1. How do you graph it? All you do is change it to the equal sign. Now we got to come back and we got to find the solution set. So if you look at this line, it can either be shaded on the top or shaded at the bottom of the line. So what we do is we look at the y value right here, and you see the y value there. Okay, the way we read it, we read this equation and we say y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 4. Let's read it again. Y is greater than or equal to 3x minus 4. So y is greater than or equal to, above the, wherever it's graphed, all you would do is shade the top part, because y is greater than or equal to the equation. That is the way you read it. And if it's pointing towards a positive, then it's on the top. If it's pointing towards a negative, then it's in the bottom. It's pointing towards a positive on the number line, it's at the very top. So that is 1, my solution set, 1, whether it's solid or dashed, and 1 is a graph. So once again, if you want to try the next one, you can go ahead and try it and see how you do. Once again, looking at this, it doesn't have an equal sign. It's less than, y is less than a half x plus 3. It's already in y equals mx plus b. Once again, you know it's going to be a dashed. Why is it going to be dashed? Because it doesn't have that little equal sign underneath the less than. So it's just less than, not equal to. So it's going to be dashed. So I'm going to take this away. And once again, Desmos is not like inequalities. He's going to spit out that inequality. So the way you graph this, it's already in y equals mx plus b. All you do is put an equal sign there, and you put it into Desmos. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into Desmos. I'm going to put y equals to 1 divided by 2. And then I'm going to do the line right here. And then I'm going to do the x. And then I'm going to do the positive 3. And there's my line. So the easiest graphs to graph is, of course, our y-intercept, which is 0, 3. So in blue, I'm going to go ahead and graph it as 0, 3. And on the test, you'll be able to put 1 point and then the graph of the line forms. Then after that, my next easy one is to deal with is y-intercept. Y-intercept is -6. I mean, my x-intercept is -6, 0. So I'm going to put -6, 0. That's my second one. Then with green, you're going to see the graph, and it's going to form a line, but not just any line, it's going to be a dashed line. Why is it a dashed line? Because, of course, it does not include that line. And then next, I already graphed it. I already did the dashed. I selected that it's a dashed line because, of course, it doesn't have, looking at this equation, it doesn't have an equal sign on the bottom. I added it just to graph it, but again, the main equation does not have the equal sign. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead, let me go ahead and change the, I'm going to say y is less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 3. So am I going to, here's my y value right there, my y-intercept. Is it less than? Is it pointing towards the negative side or the positive side? If it's pointing towards the negative, it's less than. And if it's pointing towards the negative, those are smaller numbers. So I am going to be shading all the bottom. So let's double check to make sure that is correct. Whoops. Right there. And if I want to do that, that's fine. You'll be able to click on it, and then it'll give you your solution set. So y is less than 1/2 x plus 3. So it's a dashed line, and y is less than 1/2 x, and it's on the bottom of the y. So that is how you graph an inequality. Hopefully this has helped you and guided you to help you understand the concepts of a lot of things, from quadratics to linear to exponential, and of course to inequalities. Once again, thank you for being here, and thank you for watching our video. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you for your time. Have an amazing day.